First of all, I want to thank all of you for being here today, but most especially I'd like to thank Secretary Perry for coming here to my hometown and area and northeastern Pennsylvania. It's an honor to have the Secretary here today, and I could tell you that I don't think there could have been a better man in America for the President to have picked to be the Secretary of Energy. Governor Perry was the longest serving governor in Texas's history. And in a state that knows probably better than anyone about energy, to have him leading our country at this time, as I said, there couldn't be a better person. And the reason he's here is we wanted to talk about the importance of anthracite coal and actually the new chapter of this, not only this area, but for America, that we are actually standing on right now, the new use of anthracite and the role it will play, not only here, but for our country and on the world stage. Anthracite right now is one of the rarest. It's been mined here for 150 years, Mr. Secretary, and there are 300 to 500 years of anthracite coal, and this is not our grandfather's coal. This is used for manufacturing, for steel, and now we are finding that we sit on what is really a gold mine right here with these REE, these rare earth minerals that we buy 100% of from China. China sells 85% around the world, and these are used for many uses, including weapons, computers, cell phones. We've been able to secure a grant, $1 million grant with Penn State to come here and see how we could extract these rare earth elements that are nowhere else that we know of right here. So this really is a new chapter for our area, but also a role that it will play, a major role that it will play in the country with natural gas that we have here and the anthracite coal that burns hotter and cleaner than any other coal. When we talk about all the above, we also talk about all of the below. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Chairman, thank you very much. It's really a privilege for me to be here, and I'll tell you the one thing that jumped out to me, being a multi-generational farmer from a very rural part of north central Texas, to see multi-generations of folks whose families may be 3, 4, 5 generations back in this community mining this coal, and that there's hope in the future, that your grandpa who put that together, and seeing his granddaughter here realizing that this isn't the end of this is not the end of the line. And I think that's a really important message that's coming from this administration to folks that are all across rural Pennsylvania and other parts of the Appalachia, that whether it's rare earth minerals, whether it's that load of coal that's headed to Ukraine, that the future's brighter. And I think that's one of the powerful messages that's coming out of my visit out here, and seeing the men and women of Jeddo Coal Company. And I hope all of you realize that you indeed have you got a friend in Washington, D.C. in Donald Trump, who understands that all sources of American energy and the innovation that comes out of that. It's one of the relationships that we have at the Department of Energy with you, and particularly on this rare earth element side of it. The opportunities that are there are staggeringly important to America. Opening up that that part of the coal mining industry that some years back no one would have thought was possible. And what it reminds me of, Mr. Chairman, is the oil and gas industry. 15 years ago, there was a fella traveling around the country making the speech about peak oil. that we'd found all there was. The decline curve was out there. It was going down, and there wasn't anything we could do about it. But technology, and interestingly, some of that technology out of the Department of Energy, dealing with hydraulic fracturing and directional drilling. And there were people who had faith in America, had faith in America's ingenuity, America's innovation, just like right here in Hazleton, in this surrounding area, that the future of the world, I will suggest to you, is brighter because of American ingenuity and American innovation. If we won't stifle it with overtaxing it, overregulating it, to nurture it, to work with it, to be a partner with it, and that's what the message is coming out of this administration, is that we're going to find the ways to use this natural resource that we have in this country to the betterment, not just of America, but our allies as well. I mean, the powerful message that's being sent by U.S. coal going to the Ukraine, or going to Ukraine, is a strong message about we're going to stand with our allies. We're going to help them. I want to talk a little bit more about DOE and the projects that we're working on. I think there's some $4 million that we've outlaid to enhance the technologies that extract, that separate, that recover these rare earth minerals. And again, I don't think we can overstate how important the development of rare earth minerals out of our anthracite coal and the potential that it's going to have. And they cover the spectrum, if you will, of extraction, better existing technology, looking for new ways to perform these high purity extractions. And our goal is clear, is to develop a domestic, economically competitive supply of rare earth elements. And the idea that 90% of these, in some cases, are controlled by countries that aren't necessarily our closest friends, and so it becomes really clearly, the importance of it becomes really clear to the people of this country. So anyway, I want to thank all of you for being out here. You're the face of hard-working men and women of America that I'm proud to be a part of, get to work for. I don't get confused about my role. I work for you. And the President understands that as well. Our national defense, I want to wrap up by talking about that. Our national security relies upon what you do. This country's future is wrapped around the men and women of this part of the country. The activities of which you're involved with all across Appalachia, where the coal contains these really important elements. For too long, coal in this country has been reviled. And it's time for coal in this country to be revived. And that's exactly what you all are doing. That's exactly what Donald Trump and his administration are all about. We're proud to be your partner in the process. Thank you.
I just wondered if you could address some of the, what's your position on the sort of environmental concerns and talk about, carbon emissions? What's your
Yeah, let me address an environmental concern that I saw today, and that is a former coal mine that's being cleaned up in a way that were it not for having a vibrant coal industry, you'd not be able to see that historic 100-year-ago site being reclaimed back to its natural state. That's the type of work that's being done here, where the local folks, if the coal industry were to go out of business, become not viable, those pits would just lay there. The deep pits that you're refilling would be a hazard. I mean, that's just one of the things that I had the opportunity to see today. Now, I want to address what I think you were asking, and that is about use of coal and the impact upon the climate. And you know, we have seen innovation in this country. I mean, I'm certainly old enough to remember acid rain, and to see the work that happened in this country to alleviate that type of negative impact on our climate and on our environment. Earlier in the year, I had the great privilege to be outside of Houston, Texas, for the opening of the Petronova plant. That plant's taken over 90% of the carbon out of a coal burning plant, sequestering it, then transporting it over to an oil and gas field for enhanced oil recovery. I mean, using coal and using it in a technologically advanced way is what we're all about. And I'm proud to be a part of that. Because the fact is, if we don't use that coal, when the light switch is flipped up, the lights aren't going to come on. If there's another polar vortex that comes down over the northeastern part of the United States like it did in 2014, there are going to be people having to make a decision between, are we going to turn the lights on or are we going to keep the house warm? There's some extraordinary amount of this country that's powered by coal, and that's not going to change. Now, are we to continue to look for ways to make it cleaner, more efficient? Absolutely, we are, and we will. So I'm very comfortable about the coal industry and its future in this country. I don't know what the increases of our exports are just in the last 8 months, but it's pretty substantial. I was proud to be a part of that first load that went out of Baltimore, got to Ukraine. This next load that's headed out. We're going to continue to find new markets, give our allies clear messages that we're going to be here helping to address their energy needs in the future. And this administration is in all of the above. I mean, we're for natural gas, we're for LNG, we're for wind energy, we're for nuclear energy. All of these we're going to need. So keeping a vibrant coal industry, and particularly with this added aspect of these rare earth minerals, I think the future of this part of the country may be brighter than it's been in some time.